on this episode of the Girl Talk Podcast.
Too much of a good thing can be toxic in our lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you can get burned out even doing all of the things that you're gifted to do, even when you're getting impact, if you're not getting enough actual rest.
Hello there. You are listening to the Girl Talk Podcast. My name is Carol.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Trisha.
Glad you're here today. We're going to be talking about burnout. Are you burned out? Are you frazzled? Are you at the end of your rope? Well, this episode just for you.
Who's going to be leading this, though?
Probably me.
Who's the non-burnout?
We hope that by the end of this podcast, you'll be able to take a deep breath, maybe reset, and kind of get your bearings about you. So what causes burnout? Any ideas?
Lots of thoughts.
Yeah.
Doing too many things.
Yeah.
Doing too many
things.
Saying yes to too many things.
Saying yes to too many things. But I think most importantly, not acting in our giftedness.
Oh,
wow. God has created us for a purpose. He has given us skills and abilities. And when we try to be something that He's not created us to be, it is not fulfilling. It is not satisfying. And it leads to burnout really quickly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
What about you, T?
Well, my thought was, number one, fatigue, just plain old, I am tired thoughts, but also not feeling satisfaction or not seeing results from what you're pouring into.
Oh, yeah.
That causes burnout for me.
Yeah.
If I see some results, even if I'm tired, sometimes I can chug along.
Yeah.
But if I'm not seeing any results positively, then I struggle with burnout.
What about this? This is a definition I came up with. I experience burnout when there's not enough space between my load and my limit.
Yeah. No margin.
Yeah. When I don't have margin, I find myself feeling burned out. And I think, I don't want to say it's easier for women, but I mean, I think it is easier for women because we wear so many hats, and I'm sure guys experience burnout too. But I think that we have so many demands on us as wives, as mothers, as friends, as leaders, that sometimes we say yes to too many things. I love that what you said, you're not operating in your spiritual giftedness, because I think one of the things that we've not done well as a church is sometimes we say, you know what, the Lord laid you on my heart. And the Lord didn't do that. You just need to fill a space, and so you're going to try to spiritually guilt me into doing it.
That's right.
And that is when I find that I move from like just being fatigued or tired to actually resenting the thing. And it's not that I resent the thing, it's the resentment that I feel because I've been guilted into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago and heard Carey Nieuwhof speak.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with Carey Nieuwhof, he's a pastor in Canada. He also does a leadership blog, does a leadership podcast. It's like one of the top 10 podcasts, right underneath the Girl Talk podcast. But,
Keep working at it,
Yeah.
Carrie.
Yeah, we're pulling for you, Carrie.
Seriously, top 10 leadership podcast in the world. And he's a pastor, so everything he comes at from a Christian perspective. He talked all about this burnout. He actually got to a place where he did burn out and really fell off a cliff into depression, into anxiety, into a lot of things. And he said for him, he came out of this with a lot of revelation from the Lord. And he said that one of the things that where you thrive is when you have the intersection of your giftedness, your impact. So Trisha, like what you were saying, that you're seeing an impact in what you're doing and in your passion. So if you kind of think about three circles, the middle of that is where you're thriving. So the middle of your giftedness, your making a difference, your impact, and your passion. So we have a tendency to operate outside of one of those things. And that's where we find that we don't thrive. And so then we are on the fast track to burnout.
Yeah. Because
Because we're not passionate about it.
Yeah.
We're not gifted to do it, or it's not producing any fruit in the work that we're giving. And so it's futile.
Yeah, that's so smart. And I think so true. I think I can. I'm sorry, you were going to ask something?
No. I was just going to say, I'll say in a minute.
I was going to say, when I am physically tired, I've always heard it put this way. When I was in counseling, my counselor said you have 4 batteries: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. When any one of those batteries gets low, it draws off the other ones. And so a well-balanced life is to keep all of those as full as possible, realizing that it's not always going to happen that way. And that's become like a metaphor for my life, is that I've started asking myself, all right, where's your physical battery? Where's your emotional battery? Where's your mental battery? Where's your spiritual battery? And if any one of those is low, I realize it draws off the other ones. And I am like what you described with Carrie Newhoff. I can go off a cliff real quick because I don't often respect my limits and respect the fact that I have a capacity. I just like to run, and then I fall down and fall off the cliff. And people are like, what in the world happened with you? You know, where did you go?
And you're probably doing a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
but even too much of a good thing can be toxic in our lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You can get burned out even doing all of the things that you're gifted to do, even when you're getting impact, if you're not getting enough actual rest. But what we're talking about and what you're saying pinpoints the need for self-awareness. And we can't have self-awareness if we don't stop. I can't check in with myself if I'm distracting myself with every single thing. Go from one thing to the next, and in the time in between, I check my phone, or I'm listening to music, or I'm doing something that just distracts me. And so my mind is always going. There's never any opportunity for self-awareness. And then you can never tell if your batteries are going down. So I want to talk about how to refill my batteries. Because when you mentioned that, I go, ooh, I'm low on a couple of those batteries. So it's drawing off the other ones. But how do I refill the ones that need refilling?
Yeah. I think that's an intensely personal thing, but I think you can have some ideas. I think physical, all of us are getting to the age now where I think we know our physical capacity is less than it used to be.
Yeah.
And so realizing that, and like I say, Tricia, you've helped me probably more than anybody to think about this in the last several years of my life, is that I have gotten into a really routine bedtime. And like, I protect that. Like Smart. I would protect worship time or Bible study time or going to church. I make sure that I give myself plenty of time to wind down in the evenings, because if I'm not, I'm in bed late and the next day I'm tired and all the things. But I felt like at certain points in my life that it was selfish for me to set those boundaries and protect those things, because it wouldn't get done if I didn't do, kind of a pride thing and all those issues that I have. But I have been very more diligent about protecting those limits. And I think when you talk about refilling your batteries, what sometimes for me, it's not so much what refills my batteries is protecting my capacity. Like realizing that I don't have an unlimited supply of energy. So when I look at this 24-hour clock, I think, okay, I've got this much energy, and this is going to take this much energy. That means I've got this much left. And so how do I balance my schedule to be able to give my full attention and energy to that thing? Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And what you're talking about is really worship.
Yeah.
We think worship is, I sometimes think worship is in a church service praising God.
Right.
Worship can also be going to bed early enough if you're doing it to protect what God has given you, so that you can go and do the best that you can for Him the next day.
Yeah.
Worship can be sleeping. Worship can be a nap. Think about the Bible. Didn't He send someone for a nap and a snack?
Yes.
That can be
Elijah.
worship.
Yep.
When we're doing it for God, to honor God and to protect the resources that He's given us. Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One of the other things that Carrie Newhoff said in this presentation is to protect that energy, know where your energy zones are. And so, and operate in your high energy zones. Try to be productive during that time period. So, like you said, if you're looking at a 24-hour clock, we all have periods of our day where we are, and it's intensely personal. It's different to eat for each individual person, but where you will find your best productivity. So, for me, one of the things I've realized, I've been coming in a couple of days this week at 5 a.m. to hang out with Carol in the mornings, and realized that 5 o'clock a.m. to 9 o'clock in the morning is my green zone. I can get more accomplished productivity wise during that time frame than I can get accomplished in a normal full workday.
Yep.
And the 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon time is my time where I need to not accomplish anything, because it's going to go like I am swimming through pea soup. It is not going to go fast at all.
Yeah.
So being aware of those times in your own 24-hour clock as to how things work, and planning the things that you need to get accomplished during the times when you can be productive.
And I think it's Carey Nieuwhof, doesn't he say that you make that your green zone, and then when you have medium kind of energy, that's your yellow zone, and when you don't need to be around people or doing anything, that's your red zone.
That's right. Yeah.
Like you need to go to bed, right?
Yeah. Well, or is that when you do things like filing or something that's
mindless
kind of thing?
Yeah, or check-in meetings where you need to be present with someone, but you don't need to be, doing a whole lot of thinking.
Creative kind of things.
So if you're a creative time, as creatives, if this is your best creative time is from 6 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock, you need to protect that with your schedule, and schedule that on your calendar every single day to say, nobody is messing with this time of my day, because it is reserved for X, Y, or Z, because that's my green zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's written a book. It's like called At Your Best or something of that nature. We can put that in the show notes for you.
Absolutely. What are the signs for you guys for burnout? I think I'll go ahead. I'll go first because I know that's a harder question to answer. Mine is isolation and depression. Those are my two. When I start to run away from people, and I start to... Because I'm naturally a pretty happy person, I think. But when I start to get in that dark place of overwhelm, of I can't get it all done, and I can't get anything done well, and I start that spiral of I'm a horrible human because I didn't check everything off my list today. So isolation and depression are probably my biggest ones.
Yeah, my two biggest ones are probably lack of motivation. That I don't care. I just don't care. I've lost the passion for whatever it is I'm doing. I don't care. And then the other one is being cynical. Looking around and being very judgmental and very critical of other people, and this doesn't, what they're doing doesn't matter, what I'm doing doesn't matter. Just that not being able to properly process and properly find joy in things are my two big triggers.
Yeah, I'm similar to both of you guys. And I was thinking about it. I was writing down two different kinds of burnout. Sometimes I'll have a daily burnout where in the middle of the day, I just want to disengage and just do the bare minimum. And that's hard when you've got things that you have to do and you feel burnout in your day. But I think you guys are talking more about that global burnout when you're really teetering on the edge of making bad choices. I can tell because I want to isolate and I want to distract. All I want to do is watch TV. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to do what I need to do. I don't want to make dinner. I don't want to put the laundry. I don't want to do anything other than just distract myself with videos about the royal family. I don't know what's wrong with me, but distracting myself with TV or royal family videos when I don't want to do with the people that I love. I can tell something's wrong. Also, the music I want to hear, right? When I'm in a good place, I'm like, okay, I want to hear some, hey, Alexa, turn on worship music or turn on the Light FM. I want to listen to praise music. I want to put my mind in that place. But then when I start to go, ooh, I'd really like to hear like some of these somber songs that I used to listen to in high school. I really want to dip into just feeling badly.
It's funny you say that because there's this one album in particular, and I'll be listening to it, and Ella's like, "Are you all right?
Yeah."
Like, you okay? Because it's very folky and kind of some dark undertones to it. Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah.
That's
so you can kind of tell where you are by what you're wanting to listen to, which is ironic because what I need to do is the exact opposite of what I'm sort of drawn to.
Yeah.
If I can listen to worship music in those moments, then I can start to refresh myself.
Yeah. So that could even be a sign of burnout right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if we come upstairs and you're listening to Duran Duran, we're going to...
think Fleetwood Mac. I'm sorry. Is that loud? Okay.
So good stuff. So how do we, circle back to your question about how do we refill those batteries? I do think it's personal, but I think there are some steps that you can take today. If you're like, yes, I'm burned out, what do I do? I think there are some things some suggestions we can give you. Anyway, let's just look at the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. Let's just go for those, and we'll all
what are they again? Same again.
Physical. Yeah, let's just start with physical.
Okay.
If you are feeling burned out, it may mean you need to move your body.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds counterintuitive. Trisha's taught me that. Actually, physical exercise has become my antidepressant. It is very good for me to exercise, even to the point that the people closest to me in my life will say, you need to go for a run. And when they see that, and I'm so blessed to have those people. I'm so thankful for them because I don't often see it in myself. So for me, exercise is one of the ways I fill up my physical batteries. You got one?
Yeah, I mean, I think just having times of rest.
That's what,
and good sleep, getting some really good sleep in the evening, and turning off the phone so that my sleep is better.
Yeah.
Turning off the television so that my sleep is better. Just making sure that I get that good rest and good sleep at night.
Yeah.
And right along with that is the idea of rest that's not just sleep, but it's also downtime, quiet time, protecting a little bit of downtime.
Yes. I'm reading a book right now, and he suggests that if you struggle with distraction from television, and I was like, I don't know of anybody that would actually do this, but I mean, it would keep you from watching television. So say television is your thing. He says, go over to the television, unplug it, and put it away in a closet. Because next time it will be harder to fill that distraction time with television because you got to go and you got to get it out.
Impediment. You're putting a boundary up.
So, some of those things that if you realize that you're using those things to distract, you can set up barriers there too. Okay,
so a closet big enough for my TV.
But I love that idea.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's do it. We should take like a challenge. The new 30-day challenge.
Well, let's say our phones or our electronic devices, iPads, whatever, computers. Okay, so that was physical. Let's go with emotional. What fills up your emotional battery?
Oh, girlfriend time.
Yes,
time with girlfriends. And hey, how great you could just put both of those together and do like a walk and talk.
Yes.
I do that with my girlfriend Sarah once a month. When it's pretty outside, not in the wintertime because we're not that brave. But we will go and just have a walk and talk. We will walk and walk and walk around a lake here and just pour out our hearts and our souls, and it fills my batteries.
Yes. Okay.
Worship music. Worship music for me. Just soak in that. I like that too, by the way. It's not that or that. It's that and that.
Yeah.
But worship music.
For me, it's laughter. I love to laugh, and if I can really get tickled about something, that is my happy place.
Love hearing her snort, don't you?
If I can, in my snort. If I can't get it from somebody else, I'll go on and watch videos of babies laughing, and it always does it 100% of the time.
That's great.
I probably have the most eclectic collection of stupid YouTube videos. That was proved the other day. Our staff went on a retreat and we were riding back, and I started telling one of our newer employees about all these stupid videos, and she was like, I think she thought maybe I'm a little weirder than she expected me to be. So, but I haven't shown any of them to her yet, but I have those that I go to, and I'm like, this always makes me laugh. So so we got physical, emotional, mental. What's your mental filling station?
This is going to sound counterproductive, maybe like the exercising thing, but doing a really hard task, like making myself, I like numbers, and I like systems, and I like coding of organizing of databases and things like that. And if I tackle a really big project like that, then all of a sudden I feel smarter.
Okay, Trisha, you're next. I don't know.
I'm totally stumped after that. I was sitting here going, what is mental exactly? Like, what does that, like?
Keeping your mind straight.
So, I
think one of the things that you've been doing on your show has been really great is the verse of the week, helping you, get your mindset straight. That always helps me.
Well, I love this. I heard this the other day. that you are an air traffic controller. Imagine your thoughts are like airplanes overhead, and they're flying overhead, but you get to decide which thoughts land and which thoughts just fly on by. So really questioning your thoughts, I think, is a good way. Now that I'm understanding what you meant by the mental battery.
Think about what you think about.
Think about what you think about. Well, so much of the time we're like, hey, how are you feeling? We should be asking each other, how are you thinking? Because it's important to be aware of how you're thinking.
Yeah, that's great.
So true. So true. Not unlike that as your spiritual batteries. And people think I'm so weird for doing this, but I have Anne Graham Lotz teaches a wonderful Bible study method. It's called the 3 questions. And to fill up my spiritual tank, I think because it does a couple of different things. You go on Anne Graham Lotz's website. We'll put that in the show notes. You can go and watch the video. She teaches you how to do it, but it makes you meditate on God's word and really read it. Because if you've been a believer for any amount of time at all, you can gloss over verses that you've read before, and you can totally not pay attention to what they're saying. But with this method, it teaches you how to break down that verse and study God's word for yourself. And that is my spiritual filling station. When I'm feeling dry, I always, and I underline always, when I take the time to sit down and go through those 3 questions with even just one verse. It doesn't have to be a whole book or a whole chapter or anything like that. Just one verse. If you'll take time and meditate on that verse and do that 3 questions, it fills my tank all the way up to the top.
I listened to one of her online Bible studies this morning. They've got a new book, she and her daughter, Jesus Followers, and they look into that 3-question method. And I heard it this morning, and it was so wonderful. And I actually took the memory verse of the week, and I asked myself those questions as I was driving in this morning. So it's amazing how we have a lot of resources, and when we think about how they can go together, it really does help. It helps us understand God's word and how it manifests in our life today.
Our Growing Deeper guide that you can find at thelightfm.org is actually based on her 3 questions as well. So if you want that as a resource, we can put that in the show notes to link that.
And you can print that out and have it at home, do whatever you want to with it, and follow along with it. And you don't have to start it at the first of the year. That's what I love about that guide. Is you can start it any time you want to and go through at your own pace. And you can start today. So that's good.
I also love worship music.
Me too.
That's one of my spiritual batteries. If I can just really focus on the lyrics. The lyrics matter. But really focusing on those lyrics and letting that be my sense of worship. And that spiritually fills me all the way to the top.
Do you have a certain song that really just every time kind of... I think you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
No, but I'm excited to know.
Okay.
I'm writing down 2.
Do you have one?
I Speak the Name of Jesus.
Oh, man, that's a great one.
What's the one you love?
Charity Gale. Is that original?
Battles by Michael W. Smith.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one.
Oh, yes.
Like, man alive. I can start that song and be in the mully grubs, and I can finish that song ready to take on hell with a water pistol. I'm just like, here we go. Like, because it builds, and it's, the same words over and over. It's how I fight my battles. It may look like you're surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. I mean, like that is, whew.
It's so powerful. I love that song too. And there are times when that has been my go-to song. I love the song Egypt. I love this song because it's all about freedom. Yes. And God has already given us the freedom, and He's marched us out of Egypt into the promised land, and that just gets me going. I also love Rattle. And I love and I'd forgotten this song, but you played it on do you know what I'm going to say? You played it on Morning Juice, a Throwback Thursday, and I came running down here and danced with you. Do you remember what song?
What song was that?
It's Prince of Peace, Michael W. Smith. You are Lord of Lords. You are King of Kings. You are mighty God. I'm going to do the whole thing. Lord of everything. You're Emmanuel. You're the great I am. You're the Prince of Peace. Who is the Lamb? I love that song.
Awesome. That's a great song.
And it's a battle cry, too.
Absolutely.
Another great one is Brandon Lake's Pharaoh. Which we're not playing yet, but you need to go listen to find that song and listen to it.
I love his stuff.
It is basically Brandon Lake screaming at Pharaoh to
let my people go.
My people go. Let my
Yes.
people go from depression. Let my people go from anxiety.
Yes.
Let my people go from fear. Let my people go from grief. Let my people go from all of the things that keep us in bondage, not
Wow.
Pharaoh,
Yeah.
but the sins of our life. It will set you on fire.
We need a
can't wait.
playlist.
Yeah.
We need to set up a
Girl
playlist.
Talk playlist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send us yours.
Yeah, let's put all these songs in the show notes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. And we want you to live an abundant life, the one that God's already promised you. And He doesn't want you to be burned out. That doesn't glorify God. Burnout does not glorify God. And He wants to restore you, and He wants to renew you, and He can do all of those things. I'm thinking about Psalm 23 right now and about Him leading us by still waters and restoring our souls. He is able to do that for you today, no matter where you are and how burned out you are. And we want to pray for you. So if you want to, you're welcome to get in touch. girltalk@thelightfm.org. Send us your name, what you're going through, a little bit of your story if you want to. We would love the opportunity to pray for you. And you can also get in touch on the Facebook page, the Girlfriends page. We love it when we hear from you. And even if you want to suggest some of the topics, some of the struggles that you're having, we would love to put those into a season and talk about those things so that it could be helpful for you. We love it when you're here. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see you next time we gather around these microphones for the next Girl Talk podcast.